Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar on Vodia PBX version 70. My name is Eric Altman, sales engineer here at Vodia. I'm also joined by Hamlet, Collado, engineer at Vodia as well. I'll be running through this presentation. If you do have any questions as we're going through, use the chat on the bottom right corner. You'll see the link to the chat, so feel free to ask any questions through there. If you're not already muted, please mute yourself. And with that, I think we'll just get started. Let's just dive right in. So version 70, let's go here. So what shaped version 70? So we did learn some lessons with version 69. Our release timing was not perfect as far as aligning with partner readiness expectations. We feel like the UI wasn't quite there, with the new features and the system capabilities. It just wasn't lining up as nicely as we would have liked it to. And there was a gap between like the architecture of the PBX as well as the day-to-day usability. So with version 70, we changed that a little bit, shifted to release readiness over speed. Rather than just getting this out, we wanted to make sure we were getting it out in the right way. We did rebuild the interface. We'll be showing a picture of that in a later slide, but that's a big piece of version 70 is our new interface. Again, we focus more on operational clarity rather than just architecture. And we didn't just jump in and immediately release it. We did do a structured preview and a validation phase so that we knew when we were releasing it, as far as a general release goes, it was ready to go. So we feel that V70 directly addresses those operational gaps that we identified in version 69, and we turn this strong foundation into a production-ready platform. So some next generation capabilities, the AI voice automation. So we are integrated with OpenAI, Gemini, and 11 Labs. We do a lot with our AI. I mean, the conversational call handling, I think that's something that everybody's doing and everybody expects. Just be able to replace the IVR menus with just natural language routing. So being able to just say, hey, I need to speak to Eric, and having the PBX go ahead and transfer your call. We also can do things like automated outbound action, triggering calls, appointment reminders, notifications, things like that. And we can route calls, based on context and availability. So we can do some intelligent call transfers along with just a conversational call handling transfer that we did from the start. So there are pre-built AI workflows. So when you go into building voice agents in the PBX, you will see that there are some templates. You can see them here on this slide on the right-hand side, some of the names of these. But these are basically pre-built for you. So you don't have to know code or anything like that. You can just deploy these scenarios without having to build it from scratch. Obviously, you can adapt them to match your own environment and use case. And then you can decide, or depending on the use case, which AI engine you're going to use. So in some cases, OpenAI would make the most sense. In some cases, it might be Gemini or 11 Labs. Again, we integrate with all of them, so you can choose the AI engine that you want to support and use for this. So here I was talking about the admin portal. So the admin portal has been changed. It looks a lot different, but underneath it all, I mean, I can just tell you from experience, it's not that different. I mean, it's much better to look at. I think it's much better to use, but it does look a lot different than originally. We've heard from a lot of people that our UI was a bit outdated, so we wanted to bring it up to date, especially to match with the features and that we're offering right now. So. You can see a little bit on the right of kind of what that looks like, but we obviously recommend that all of you either deploy this, it is production ready now, or deploy this as a test PBX. You just let me know if you need a test license to just run a few tests on this before you deploy it as your production system. We're happy to do that. That's not a problem at all. And then you can really see this reimagined admin portal, which again, I think at first, people are a little lost, just trying to find everything. But after using it a little bit, you'll find that it's much more intuitive. So You've got things like dark mode. So, if people prefer that, they can do that. It's going to simplify workflows, reduce your configuration time. There's automatic input validation, so it's going to prevent errors there. And then one of my favorites, and I think a lot of people's favorites, is this expanded search. So all it is a little search bar up at the top, but this can find anything in the PBX. So basically, if you're looking for something, because it used to be over here in the old interface, just go to that search bar, search up what you're looking for, and you can find it in a heartbeat.
Hey, Eric, I just wanted to mention,
Sure.
we also have a place where you can do a search and actually pin what you're looking for. So if you're doing device management, you can type it and then pin it. And so that you don't have to really rogue the software, just click it and you're on that page. So that's something we added for the tenant and also for the admin, because the admin does a lot of things. And there isn't a need to go everywhere where you can just type it, pin it, and then go directly to that.
Yeah, that's perfect. That makes that even better. Like I said, that's one of the, it's a simple feature, but it's a great feature to have. So if it can be pinned as well, that's just making it that much easier, especially if it's something that you're going to, often. This way you'll be all set. Just click the pin and you're good to go.
Yep.
All right. Skills-based routing is something that we've included in here. So this takes our contact center to the next level. I've been in this industry for a long time. Skills-based routing is kind of necessary if you want to say that you have a true, call center functionality. I don't see it deployed as much as I think I should. Everybody loves the idea of it. I know in some cases or other PBXs, it's a little difficult. We've tried to make this as easy as possible to deploy. At the end of the day, it's really just, assigning skills and skill levels to your different agents. And then the agent with the highest skill gets the call first. I mean, to just simplify it, that's what you're doing. So you're routing the call based on these defined agent skills and competencies. The agent proficiency levels are going to be from 0 to 100. So this one might be a 50, this one might be a 40. And we can also define minimum skill thresholds, which means that, on this call that's going to this queue, I need someone who has a proficiency in the skill of at least 50. So if I've got people in the queue that have a proficiency of 40, they're not going to be able to answer that call. It's going to go to the 50. Now, with that said, we can also, over time, minimize those requirements. So if I needed a 50, but we still don't have anybody, we want to get that call answered, obviously. So now maybe we'll accept a 40 or a 30 or whatever it might be. So that all can be set up beforehand. And language, think of it kind of like as another skill. But you can also, have language requirements. So if a call is coming in Spanish or French or whatever it might be, we can make sure it gets to somebody with the proficiency level in that language as well as the skill for that queue. So again, it can get a little complex in thinking it out, but once it's done, it's just going to route the calls, exactly the way you want it to be routed, and really puts Vodia on the map as far as having a full contact center functionality. Cross-tenant presence sharing. So this is something that can be shared across tenants or systems. So if you're on multi-tenant system, you can share information amongst the tenants. But even if it's on two separate systems, we can share that information as well. As long as they're both running 70 and this is turned on, we can have a presence sync where we're sharing that real-time status. Are they on Do Not Disturb, or are they available for a call? We can see that via the app, so we can see even these other tenants and whether they're able to take a call. And we can even map external statuses to BLF buttons on supported phones, and that's kind of referring to our Teams integration. So with Teams, there are a few other statuses that you have besides Do Not Disturb, and you'd be able to map those to actual buttons so that people can see it on their phones. Emergency alerts are now built in, so you don't need to use a third party for this. You can actually set up emergencies like you see here, fire alert, shooter, whatever it might be. We can have an emergency alert set up that can call. They can notify users, across their desk phones or the mobile apps, or as a text, an SMS, or an email. So you define and activate those alerts directly from the portal. And it can coordinate responses across PMS systems and locations. and paging and things like that. So there's many ways to get these alerts out there, and it can even trigger calls to ensure an immediate response. So custom dashboards. So previous to 70, we did have the wall board for the queue as a dashboard that you could look at. Now you can create your own. So this is everything with 70. It's brand new. And we're kind of bringing new things into it all the time. I believe we're on 70.2 right now. I'm sure we'll be moving to .3 and .4 as well. But I know right now when you open up the software, it gives you a link to our documentation where you can set up these custom dashboards. So it's real-time reporting right in front of you. You can monitor system activity and call performance right from that dashboard, and you can build custom dashboards or pre-built templates to match your operational needs. So the whole idea here is that you can see what you need to see on that dashboard, throughout the day, or your customers can at least. So that is something that is now able to deliver real-time reporting right on your screen. CRM compatibility, I mean, this is something we've always done. You can see what we have listed here as ones that we will, integrate with, so we can sync the calls as well as the outcomes directly into that CRM, keep the data aligned in real time. Again, these are the ones that you're seeing here that we've tested with and that work. There's probably others too. So we can, even create our own, your own integrations, or ask us to create an integration if it is something that is used, by one of your customers, and you feel, they need that compatibility and the ability to put their information in there and have it go to both places, both the PBX as well as the CRM. So that's something that we've had, but we've made it even better in version 70. Teams, again, that's something that we've had, integrating with Teams. The idea in most cases with integrating with Teams is the ability to make outbound calls, external calls. Typically with Teams, it's an internal thing. So you're videoing with other people in your organization. People have to be on Teams in order to participate in those conversations. So a couple of things with our, SBC, which is a certified Microsoft SBC, you can use that alone and give your Teams members the ability to call outside of the office, or you can do the whole PBX, and we'll integrate with that as well. And this way, not only can those Teams members make external calls, but everybody can communicate with everybody. So you don't have to be a team. So you might even save some money on the Teams licensing because everybody's on the PBX and they can call each other, back and forth there. You can give the option to Teams members on whether or not they want a phone or if they want to do everything through their communicator. So we integrate with Teams. We're a certified SBC. So if you've got customers using Teams, we're ready to go on that from day one. We're also integrating now with WhatsApp Business. So WhatsApp is basically, now unified right into the PBX itself. So you can apply things like IVRs and queues and extensions to WhatsApp interactions and manage it as a native PBX channel. So it handles the messaging as well as voice right within your existing call flows. So that's right inside your PBX without having to add external systems. Again, this is something that's been asked for a while, so we now do it as well. We've also integrated Jitsi video conferencing, so you can launch and join meetings directly from the PBX. You can see on this little screenshot to the right. So if you're in the app, the desktop app, and you click on the three dots, it gives you the options to do an audio call or to do a video conference. So that gives you the ability to move calls into video within the same environment. You're talking to somebody, is, hey, let's join up on a video conference, and you can click here, and that'll take you to that video conference. So you can manage the access with your own infrastructure, launch and join right from there, and move calls into video, with a click, the 2 clicks, whatever it might be. So no relying on external platforms. You can still use them, but you'll at least have video conferencing built into the PBX. We're always all about security, so that doesn't change with version 70. In fact, it gets even more secure. We still have the passkey authentication, so rather than using passwords, you can just use the passkey codes. We've got network and SIP flooding and abnormal traffic patterns, defenses, fraud prevention with call limits, credit restrictions on outbound calls, registration controls, automated encryption, TLS, secure web RTC, of course the free Let's Encrypt certificate as well, and strict access control as far as who can access the PBX. So, again, we've had these things in the past. We've just made them a little bit better, a little easier to work with in version 70, but obviously security is always key. So as far as performance and scalability, we're now optimized for multi-core processing and multi-threaded. This is big because it gives us a high capacity for concurrent calls, hundreds, possibly even thousands, as far as concurrent calls go. So this really puts us into the enterprise large-scale deployments. That can now be done. So if you've got larger customers that you may have shied away from before, you don't need to shy away anymore. We've got the processing speed to handle all of that, to handle those multiple concurrent calls. Let us know. We'll help you close that and all of that. But once it is done, they'll be able to enjoy the performance that they would need in a large scale multi-tenant in enterprise environments. And snapshots. So this is something that's been asked for a lot as well. So this is available now. So one click can capture as well as restore. So you can save the PBX state and revert back to it with a single click. If you need to do testing, you can do testing and then roll right back with that snapshot. And anytime you are doing a snapshot, it will do a pre-check validation before every snapshot. So it allows you to safely experiment, to test on just the one system if you want to do that. But like I mentioned earlier, we're always willing to help out if you need a license so that you can run your tests for a few weeks or whatever it might be before you're ready to go into production mode. Just let us know. We're happy to give you that. And that's what I got as far as slides. So hopefully this was a good surface look at version 70. Again, we encourage you to download it and use it. If not in production, at least in a testing environment to begin with. And I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised. Again, don't be afraid of it. The interface is a little different, but you get used to it pretty quick. I'm already preferring the version 70 over version 69. So I think you guys will also feel the same about that. And with that, I can turn it over to questions. I'm not sure if they've been answered as we go along. But if you have any questions, you can go ahead and type them into the chat on the right-hand side, and we will give you all you need. Looks like Hamlet just posted some information on the analytics and setting up the wall boards and the dashboards. Yeah, so I will deal with any questions that come up here. All right, so Jitsi, is it only for internal calls? No, yeah, you can give a link out. Okay, that's what I thought. So yeah, it's probably ideally designed for internal calls, but you can absolutely give a link out so anybody can join that, just like we're all joining here. So nothing really different there. As far as new changes to the mobile app, I mean, we're always kind of working on making our mobile apps better. I think right, Vodia Phone 2 is what's available for the for Android, and I believe we're working on an iPhone improvement, which should be coming up, shortly. We'll let you know, and at that point, it'll probably be the same idea. You'll go ahead and download, iPhone 2, which will be, meant and optimized for version 70. Bandwidth impact of Jitsi, that's hard to say. I mean, that would be something separately. Yeah, so it's not interfering with the performance of the system itself. It's done separately, so it's not really too much of a concern. Like Hamlet just said, if it's a poor connection, anything can be impacted. So in the IVR, You're saying it's not possible to remove a file once it has been uploaded. Yeah, so Hamlet's answering some of these. I'm giving you the audio. He's answering on the chat. But yeah, if there's something that's buggy or not working properly, please submit a ticket. And submitting a ticket is going to support.vodia.com. So that's a website, not an email address. Support.vodia.com will get you to our support ticket site, and you can open tickets from there. As usual, you can see the information on your screen, sales@vodia.com. That will get to me. You can email me directly, ea@vodia.com. Again, this is Eric. Our website, vodia.com, our phone number. If you have questions, feel free to contact us at any of these ways. We're happy to answer those for you. Any plans? So one more question here. Okay, it looks like a Teams inbuilt app to bypass the licensing requirements. Not that I know of as far as any plans for anything like that. I mean, I guess things could happen that way, but knowing Microsoft and all that, I don't think we'll be able to do something like that. I think they're always going to be able to get their license fees as well. The one big hurdle we did get through is the fact that we are a certified session border controller. So we're on their list. And again, we can work just as an SBC or as full PBX. But as far as changing anything, we did change it a little bit as far as Teams goes, in that it is no extra charge now. Through Vodia to do Teams, you just pay your extension fee, and there's a little checkbox that just says, hey, is this person a Teams member? So we've made it real easy to set that up. But as far as bypassing licensing requirements for Microsoft, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So someone's asking about the white label branding in version 70. We're obviously always willing to help you with that. If the documentation is not up to speed yet, we're working on it. You all have noticed, if you've been in our documentation, that in a lot of cases there are now, 2 tabs. Basically, in 69 you do it this way or earlier, and in 70 you do it that way. So if we haven't updated that enough in the documentation, you can rest assured that that's what we're working on currently, and we should have all that in there. In the meantime, if you're having any issues setting up branding, on your phones or in the admin or wherever it might be, feel free to contact us. Again, support.vodia.com opens up a ticket, or questions, feel free to just contact us directly. Again, you can email me at ea@vodia. So someone's mentioned that our competition has a Teams app which works without using Teams Dialer. We don't have anything like that currently. Again, we're just we're integrating with it in the sense that people can now make their outbound calls using our SBC. So future webinars may be using Jitsi and not Google Meet. We want to make sure everything's good and production ready. We knew we were going to have a lot of people here as well, but at this point, this seemed to work for us. Yeah, there's some questions asking about integrating with Google Meet. That's again, we're not really sure exactly what you're saying, but there's no plans for anything like that, because we now have Jitsi, so we're set. So I'm guessing what it means is that you'd like a button inside of the Vodia app that points to Google Meet, which that's not something that we're planning on, at least. So is there a need for a special license to have access to the AI? There's not a need for a special Vodia license, but we do use those AI engines. So you would have to have an account with OpenAI or Gemini or 11 Labs. And the skills-based routing that I talked about, that has nothing to do with any of that. That's within the PBX, a call center agent. You can set up your call center queues that way. With that, I think I'm going to close it out. And again, feel free to contact me, sales@Vodia or ea@vodia.com if you have any questions. And hope this was beneficial to everybody, and appreciate your time. And we'll talk soon. Thank you.